For workplace racism, if folks would like to comment, the number 641-715-3640, and the code is 564943#. Press *6 if you would like to participate. The folks, we already had people who were waiting for workplace racism, which is outstanding. Caller in the Bay Area, did you have commentary on workplace racism you wanted to share?
Oh, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, super. Okay, so I work at this black nail spa. It's a nail spa with an esthetician and an electrolysis and a hair salon inside of a building that's ran by a black lady that I know. I've been knowing her almost 20 years. So this is the place where the Caucasian lady, she's the electrolysis. So she rents the office for that. For the past couple of Saturdays, she's been trying to catch me in the kitchen area so she can talk to me, because I'm always coming and going, especially if I know she's going to go in that area. I stay in another area a little longer. So I have to go in the kitchen, though. So she'll linger around in the kitchen or come back out of her room and go in the kitchen. So today she came to work. Mother's Day weekend, we had spa. The ladies came together and had a spa day and all that. So it was a large festivity for ladies. So the Caucasian lady is there. So the owner is talking to the young ladies, they're black, about what she likes to do with single moms and this, that, and the other. So the Caucasian lady keeps coming back and forth to the room. Now, mind you, she's normally inside of her room or in the kitchen area, but she keeps coming back and forth to the room where all the black ladies are getting their mani-pedis. So she just keeps listening. So she came back this week after that ordeal. But in between that, she keeps throwing the owner under the bus, saying, "You're the only one that does anything around here." And I was like, "Oh, okay, how you doing?" So she's like, "Yeah, I'm good. So she was like, "Oh, no one does. It's so disgusting in here. They're just so nasty." Every time she thinks that I'm in the kitchen, she'll try to come in the kitchen just to spark up a conversation. "Oh, no, let me show you. So she's very aggressive and dominant. So she's showing me the microwave and how nasty it is and how it's about to break. And it's not nasty to that magnitude because I work there, but I'm working on the place. I'll get it into gear. But anyway, every little thing that is wrong with the place, she heightens it. So I know she talks about the black lady and the remaining of the salon to her clients, which are predominantly Caucasian, because one day she came in and smelled a scent she didn't want to smell. It wasn't anything lewd. It was just probably lavender or whatever we spray in the room to keep the oil going. And she told her Caucasian client, "Oh my God, it just smells like something's burning in here." And so she sprays some vinegar and water. So now it smells like green. So it's like, oh God, I can't deal with that smell. So I think I make her feel a particular way, so she's trying to get close to me, so she catches me in the kitchen. So now she's throwing everybody under the bus, and they don't do anything. See, I'm just going to get me a microwave. I'm just going to put it in my room. I'm just going to get me a microwave and put it in my office and hide it in my office. Because she said she's going to hide it in her office because she knows that if somebody goes in her room. I say this because there's a lady that comes in and waxes, and a black lady, she comes in and waxes twice a week. They allow the lady to go into the electrolysis room and do waxing in this lady's room. So it's all black women getting all different forms of waxes in this lady's room. So that was a big deal that everybody acted like didn't happen. But when I say that I'm going to get the salon in order, it's because it's out of order. It's a black-owned nail spa that's out of order. And this Caucasian lady has had a particular control over it with her oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't breathe, I can't smell because of the owner. She was tiptoeing around the Caucasian lady. So now the Caucasian lady is acting funny with the owner. She's comes in the kitchen because she's just throwing her under the bus. So the owner comes in the kitchen, oh, hi, Miss Judy. So she says, hi. And then so she keeps doing what she's doing. So now the owner's probably trying to figure out what's going on, but we're busy. So the place is completely out of order, and that's who will call state board, or that's who will call or have one of her clients call and report the black nail salon so we get fined, because there are quite a few fines in there prior to me getting there. So I do have a major pay decrease working at this salon, and I'm going to figure something out, but I'm not going to leave the salon because I can tell by the way this white lady is acting in the salon. She wants to see it fall because of all the little, I mean, every time she catches me in the kitchen, she's just, you know what? Look at this. See? They're just, I can't even find a fork in here. You know what they're doing with them? Poke. You know what they're doing with them? They're throwing them in this garbage. And I went in the garbage one day to get my favorite fork, the wooden handle, my favorite fork with the wooden handle on it. And it was hair, and then she did her face because it's black hair. So it's hair and all kind of toenails. It was just so gross. I just let it go. So that's my workplace racism. I just thought that was just interesting when we're trying to do something on our own and trying to be the best at what we do, when we allow Caucasians in our setting to make them feel welcome or to make people believe that we're universal or not racist or whatever. I take everybody in. That's an error, because while they're in our settings or in our establishments, they're trying to make sure that we don't maintain these businesses or establishments. And I'll mute my line.
Interesting. I be curious to know how this white woman got there in the first place, but I would at least have to think if there is a way to get her out of the establishment. That, I guess, would be one plan. And then it seems like you have already concluded that she's making an effort to see if she can make this enterprise fail. And I mean, whites have a long record of doing that sort of thing, deliberately sabotaging black businesses. So it's great, if you're already seeing that, to then be going into plans, things that you can do to neutralize that effort. If you think it's going to be trying to report you all for fines or any sort of violations, to get those corrected so that she doesn't have anything to report. But I'd really be looking at, how can we get her out of here? I don't know if it's, she contracts to be there or whatever the case is, but even how the other black people that work there, if they all dig her and think she's great or what have you. But that would definitely be something I would be processing, if there's a means that we can extricate her and move along with just black people working here and trying to have the best business we can without her even being a part of this process.
I will. I'll ponder on that and create something and keep you updated with the whole call log.
Appreciate that. Folks had questions they want to ask our Bay Area caller to clarify anything or any observations around all of that. Feel free. As I've stated, this sounds like black entrepreneurship. As I've stated, you are not going to end your difficulties with white supremacy if you become a business owner. It will just be manifested in a different manner. Even if you don't have white employees or white people that you're working with directly, it's still going to be a problem. It'll just be in a different way that you'll have to deal with it. But definitely, if nobody had questions or observations about what she shared with us, if you have your own incidents of workplace racism, feel free.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I had an incident this week that was very interesting and actually quite hilarious. I had gotten a phone call from a member. I work for a health insurance company, and I had a call from a member, and she had received a bill, white female, about 35 years old, and she had gone to a doctor visit, a dermatologist visit, and she got a bill for about $65. So she calls in, and she's saying that she believes that the bill should be paid in full because it's not fair. She can't afford the bill. And she said, so I said to her, I looked at the bill. I talked to her, and I then told her, I said, well, the bill actually paid out correctly based on the policy that you have. So then she went into this tirade about us robbing her. So after she goes on, I mute when she's talking, and I'm just listening to her, and I'm starting to smile. So then she tells me, well, I was lied to. I said, well, who lied to you? She said, well, I called before I went for this doctor visit, and I had asked if the bill would be covered in full, and I was told yes. And now I'm getting this bill for $65, and I can't afford it. So I said, well, what I can do is I can pull the call so we can see what was said, because, the $65 essentially was applied to her deductible. The deductible is basically the portion that a member has to pay before the insurance company will pay on any of their claims. And depending on the policy you get, it can be very high, or it can be maybe like $600, or as high as maybe $6,800, depending on the policy. Hers was actually $5,900. And so she said that, she was lied to. She was told that the bill would be paid completely, and the company to pay it. So I said, well, what I'll do is I'll have the call pulled. We'll listen to the call and see what was discussed with you. And if something like that took place, then the company would basically honor it, but that person would be reprimanded. So they pull the call, and the gist of the discussion was, she literally said, at the dermatologist, I would like to know if dermatology visits are covered. So the representative told her, yes, they're covered. Okay, thank you, bye. Click. That was the conversation. Not are they covered in full, not is there any deductible, any copay, just is it covered? So he answered her yes. She said, thank you. Click, done. So I call her back, and before the first call ended, she started going off with F-bomb tirades and whatnot. So I put her on mute, and I was laughing, and I said to my co-host that I have a Norma Bates on the line. Whenever I get, customers that are just crazy, or members that are just crazy or act out, or they're racist, I call them Norma. If they're female, I call them Norma Bates. If they're male, I call them Norman Bates. Psycho is the reference. And I said, I have a Norma Bates here. And they were, and as the call was ending, I was explaining to them what happened, because they heard me going back and forth with her. And I kept my tone was the same. I didn't show any emotion whatsoever, but I was laughing when I muted her because it was just ridiculous the way she was talking. So then I called her back, and I said, well, listen, we did pull the call. The representative handled the call correctly. He was actually another black male who I know very well because he helped to train me when I got there. So when I saw his name, I knew that he handled the call correctly. I didn't even think twice about it. And he absolutely did. So I said, well, he handled the call correctly. You called. You asked him if it was a covered service. It is a covered service. So she said, well, if it's covered, why am I paying $65? I said, well, essentially, you're receiving what's called a negotiated rate. When you have a deductible, the negotiated rate is a reduced price you get based on the insurance you have. So I said, if it was not a covered benefit, you would have paid $200, which was the actual price of the visit. You got the reduced price, which is $65, and it was applied to your deductible. That's why you have to pay it. So then she said, I want to escalate the call to a supervisor. I said, okay. So I escalated it. A white male calls her back, tells her the same thing. She goes into the phone call tirade. He went and told her that the representative handled the call correctly. There was nothing to make changes about, and it played out properly per the terms of your policy. So she just told him, after cursing him out as well, that she wants to escalate it to his supervisor, and this is going to be an Indian woman and he told her, my supervisor is going to tell you the same thing, because she doesn't care. I said, well, basically your policy is a legal document that will hold up in court. You signed up for this. No one forced this policy on you. You chose the policy, you signed up for it, and you didn't even know what a deductible was. Now that I'm explaining it to you and you realize that it's almost $6,000, you're angry about it, and you don't have $65 to pay this claim. So now, by next week, it's going to be escalated to the second supervisor, who's going to end up telling her the same thing, and then I'll find out what happens from there. But that's my workplace racism. White people are just functionally psychotic. They're racist white supremacists, and they will stomp like babies when they don't get their way. I can't believe she's 35 years old and can't pay a $65 bill and does not know what a deductible is. But, hey, that's how white people function. They're just illogical in all ways, except for in practicing racism. Thank you so much for taking my call, guys.
It's good practice to remain calm, not get emotional when they are acting out and going into their rage or tirade over the phone. Excellent practice. Just stand calm, monitor my heart rate. I see. And give
You
a
are
codified
absolutely
response.
right. No, I'm going to say you're absolutely right, because they try to get you to come out of your skin so they can say, pull the call. And when they hear you, if you sound like your tone elevates or like you're agitated in some way, they will call you on that in the call, because they'll say that that's facilitating the other person's agitation. So when you keep your composure and you're able to have a direct conversation, it's based on what's in the policy, so there's no arguing with the person. It's just basically, in some cases, reiterating what you said before, and you just keep doing it. And like I said, between bouts of her going off and being angry, I was laughing because I was just like, she's illogical. She's not making any sense, and anyone who listens to any of these calls, me and the other supervisor that calls her back, they're going to see that she's not making sense, and she's just basically pouting because she can't afford the $65, which, if you can't pay a bill, you can always ask for a payment plan, and they'll make it as affordable for you as possible. As long as they know that they're going to get regular payments, it's not an issue. But she wants it to be completely paid, which is not going to happen. So, like I said, it was just hilarious. Thank you. But yes, you're right. Keeping your calm is essential. I believe that's one of the greatest contributions that Nick Neely Fuller Jr. has talked about, is to kill the emotion and think logically. Think like a scientist when you deal with them, because that's how they are in their approach to white supremacy. That is what our approach has to be in order to find a solution. We cannot be emotional and going off on tirades, because that's what they utilize to play that psychological chess with us, and sometimes to kill us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks have observations, questions they want to ask based on what they've heard, or your own incidents of workplace racism, feel free.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
My example of workplace racism is kind of constructive, really. It was an example of self-respect, and it also was a example of non-white so-called adults showing younger non-white black people that we care and are willing to support you to the fullest and take care of them. As some of you all know, that I've been a high school football coach for 35 years, and this afternoon, the conclusion of spring football practice ended today with a what is called an intra-squad scrimmage, which basically means that you all of the skills and techniques that you learned during the 20 days of spring practice, you put it together with the scrimmage against each other, offense versus defense. The logistics of the game itself normally should be supported by and financed by the institution, which in this case, most of the people who are in charge are either non-white, non-black, or white people. But they did not. So one of the coaches circulated around by the method of text, some money towards having a barbecue for the young people after the game, and when I saw that text, it quickly shot to my brain that hey, yes, this is an opportunity for us to. No one should have to be able to tell us to do for our children. We do it without hesitation, and no one has to ask us to do that. So I quickly contributed my money, along with the other coaches, contributed their money towards it, and we also put our time into having some food for the young people after the game. The head coach received money from a black male, an attorney, to pay for the referees for the game. You have to pay the refs. Then he was given something like $4,000 to go into an account that head coaches have, and he used that money to pay for the referees for the game. We have a good relationship with the managers of the stadium, which is right next door to the school. All of them are black, and so they leave the stadium open for us to use it, not only for that scrimmage, but also for our practices, because it's technically our home stadium. The University of Miami, some like half of their staff came as visitors. We had food for them. Some of the players from University of Miami also showed up. There was something like maybe 1,000 parents and brothers and sisters and other close people to the young people who were playing in the game who showed up there. And so all in all, it was a very good setting. And I could almost see the jealousy in the face of the white people who were supposed to be in charge and actually putting their efforts into this process when they showed up to see, because my idea in mind, they expected it to be a failure in some way, or some means and ways that they can criticize what was going on, but they didn't have anything to criticize, because you were dealing with a situation where there's a whole lot of non-white black males who have years and years of experience of doing this type of thing, and we're been very successful at it. If anyone doesn't know, the transition from high school to college for a young person who is talented enough and also who is ambitious enough to have gotten their academics together in high school is worth tens of thousands of dollars to receive an athletic scholarship. So it's something that's, worth a lot of value to put towards. And most of the guys that we coach don't just go to college to play football. They also come out with their not their high school diploma, but their college diploma, prepared to go into the workplace or wherever their ambitions take them. And I just wanted to share that with everyone. So thank you for listening.
Grand. Another illustration of racists looking to sabotage, or even the term I think we used with Katrina, talking about Ray Nagin, Schadenfreude, looking to enjoy black people failing. And if they can help, aid in any way, sabotage black people trying to do something constructive, that's even better. But that's outstanding, being able to, black people working together, doing something constructive, particularly to help out black children. Awesome. Racists can do nothing but sit back and be disgruntled about it for the day and go back. I'm sure they will go back to work immediately to see how they can mess things up in the future. But that's great. Anytime you can look to have some constructive interaction with other black people, great. Other folks have commentary, workplace racism. If you have either questions on what you've heard thus far, or question or your own instances of workplace racism that you want to make sure you address, getting close to the end of the program, feel free.
Yes, workplace racism. I just wanted to update you that in the political thing, which I know a lot of people are strongly against, which that's good. But what happened was we've been gerrymandered. You get 4 votes, and we've been gerrymandered so that the black people are all together in this crazy-looking thing, and we get 1 vote. So we have 1 black person who has promised the other 3 people that they can build a great big giant prison next to the HBCU. You know, ready-made, tailor-made population. It's going to be great. Good money for everyone. And the other candidate has said, oh, that sounds like a terrible idea. I don't think we should build a great big prison next to the HBCU. So somebody sends out, there are 9,000 potential voters. So all 9,000 voters get a terrible letter from the guy who says, no prison here, no prison. We're not going to create a predatory environment for the children. So they send out all these letters about baby's mama, daddy, and, you know, crook and thief and drug addict and, you know, just a scourge of the earth. And I'm like, everybody says, what do we make of this? What do we make of this? I said, throw it in the trash. You don't even know anyone who has $5,000 just to spend on stamps. So I said, that's just Republicans. So then I guess that wasn't enough. So then they take around, and the candidate that they're supporting, they send out $5,000 worth of pieces of mail saying that he's just a, you know, crazy Negro and he's just awful too. So I found that very fascinating, but I assured people that, you know, black people really don't have $5,000 to just spend on stamps for no good reason. If they have a problem, they'll get upset and come to you in your face, and they'll have a little nervous breakdown, and it'll be like that. But this is not something that white people typically do strategically. So I just found that very interesting, and I reassured people, and that made sense to them because we know pretty much everyone's economic capability, and spending $10,000 on stamps either way is just not something we are capable of doing. Last, I wanted to say that there's a scam out there that says if you want a free Android tablet from Elite Access Network, that you should decline because they say that they like to collect your personally identifiable information, and such as your email address, your name, your home and work address, and your telephone number. They also collect anonymous demographic information such as your zip code, age, gender, preferences, interests, and favorites. They also collect information about your computer hardware and software, and they also collect IP addresses, browser names, domain names, access times, and referral websites. So I probably, if you see somebody who wants to give you a free tablet, you should decline. And I think that's it. I just don't know. I find the Republicans pretty fascinating. They have a lot of money to waste.
All right. I know myself, I think Thomas said this last week as well, folks have appreciated the updates over the, if it's years now, about the effort. None of that seems like workplace racism, though. The tablet thing, certainly not. But yeah, that seems like maybe that could be in the earlier portion. I'm just saying it because I know people frequently stray from the topic. I don't want to encourage other folks to feel like they can chat about things that are not related to workplace racism unless I have misunderstood something.
Well, I can always put it in the front part.
Grand, because I'm sure people would appreciate hearing the updates, especially as we get closer to, I don't know if your all's election is this fall or before we get to everything that's going down in November, but I'm sure folks and myself would appreciate hearing the update to how this evolves as you continue with the process, what you learn, and how they're responding to your efforts. But yeah, I don't want to encourage other folks to feel like, hey, Carmen gets to call in and talk about non-workplace things. I will do that too.
Well, you remind them, Gus, that I quit my job for this.
That's right. Full-time effort. Folks have commentary, questions, or if you had your own incidents, workplace racism, feel free. We are almost at the end, so speak up if you had something you wanted to make sure you got in.
be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, just really quick, I had a couple of observations. Like I noticed that sometimes when suspected racists, like if they're saying something to me or other non-white people, I guess to get a reaction out of them, they'll say, "Oh, I was just giving them a hard time." Like they won't say anything. Well, they'll say other things, but I've noticed that phrase or that term, whatever that's supposed to mean. But I've had a discussion or two with the white male. He was talking to a white female. He'll joke or make fun of her. Sometimes I guess she was taking some kind of college courses, and he said something about her being remedial or something like that. And so I was asking him some questions, and then he was saying, well, sometimes I'm not being, I don't know if he said honest or I'm not being very truthful. And he was saying it's just like saying somebody going to Haiti, and I'm telling them enjoy the trip. So I had asked him. So I said, well, you using that word trip, you didn't necessarily mean like enjoy the stay, meaning like enjoying the way on the way to Haiti. So he just kind of like gave a smirk or whatever. And that was one incident. And there was another time where I had went to the post office, and I guess they were making some kind of changes as to how we're going to pick up our mail. And there was these two non-white guys. They were pretty much arguing about. It was one of them was a manager at that location, and the other one was a person that was coming to pick up mail. So he was like, "Well, what is going on here?" And I'm just sitting there, just pretty much listening, just ready to see, hey, is there going to be any changes, or do I still get to come pick up the mail? So he just wanted, I guess, say that he knew more than the other non-white person, and the other non-white person saying, hey, I'm just applying for this job. And he said something interesting. He said, I still got to get approval. I got to get approval that I can get this done. So I'm thinking in my head, oh, man, so this guy, he's given that title of supervisor, but, he's still under that, under that limit to where he has to go and ask someone who I suspect is a white person to really get his ideas accepted or whatever. So that was another one. And one last one, I heard the same white male, he would say stuff like, well, I would tell you the truth 9 or 10 ways before I lie to you. So, I'm like, man, what does that even mean? So he says, I just come up with ways that I could tell you the truth, and so just I stay still asking him questions. So he a very interesting suspected racist. So that's all I have.
Fascinating. Wordsmiths. When we say masters of deception, just that right there, even for people that have been listening to Medical Apartheid, where they talked about different ways of being very convoluted. I think doctors, racist in the medical industry, do this a lot, where they will deliberately use very convoluted language, and they'll throw in a few monosyllabic, polysyllabic words, so that you just feel like, oh man, my puny, Negro brain, I can't even understand what's being said. This, incredibly intelligent white person, they do that sort of thing all the time. That is an all-day practice of white supremacy, just right there. And him even mocking this sort of thing, like, oh yeah, I can tell you the truth 9 different ways before I tell you a lie, just to be deceptive. Now, I mean, even that. Now, how is it that I can figure out 9 different ways of telling you something accurately? That's why I say the importance of, let's not use metaphors. Let's try to be as direct, exact, precise, clear, as simple as possible. Not, let me figure out, 20 different ways of giving you accurate information so that you can understand. That's classic racism, white supremacy, just right there. Just outstanding. When you, in my view, you can do that sort of thing all the time, particularly if you're on the job and you're around white people. Just listening, just being observant to the type of things that they say. If they're, making comments like that, and other ways that they are just talking sometimes directly about racism or just talking directly on the job, you can learn a lot just by being quiet, observing, asking questions, as our caller just did, and seeing how they respond and what have you. Just fascinating. As well as the in terms of saying the person is remedial or that sort of thing, because in my view they do that sort of thing a lot as well, talking down to people to suggest that they're not intelligent, that they're ignorant, you're not as smart as I am, particularly if they're talking to a non-white person. That also seems to be a standard part of racist culture and the way that they think and talk about non-white people, especially black people. Anything else? Folks want to make sure they get in? Everyone satisfied? Questions or your own incidents of workplace racism? The caller at 4683 should be with us as well. 4683?
Yes, sir. How everybody doing, man? I'm going to be real quick, right? I'm calling, man. I'm from Houston, Texas, man. I'm up here in North Dakota, right? And I've been working with these Mexicans, these girls, you know what I mean? And so, and I noticed that Thomas had said, that's that brother, that professor, I think, from the university, probably a week or two ago, about the non-white and the black, and I like the black. I even like the nigger because I think we that non-white is putting everybody with us. And see, I'm gonna tell you something, man. These Mexicans and these natives, see, you got it's a lot of. I'm in North Dakota. A lot of what they call natives is up here, and these people, they don't like black people, man. And I work with them. And see, one thing I know about Mexicans from back home, even from back home, is like they always try to act like they don't understand. They always try to act like they can't understand what you're saying. They don't speak English, and then and what I notice is that see, in Houston, Texas predominantly, see, the Mexicans own a lot of businesses. They own a lot of stuff down there. Now, you come in, now as long as if it's on some kind of street level thing, they deal with you. They wear the clothes like we do, ride cars like we do, talk like us. If it's anything non-constructive, it's cool. But once you try to get into the business side of things, it's like, what you doing here? Mexicans don't like us, man. So I just really wanted to call because, see, I like the black and even the nigger, like Mr. Fuller say, we all qualify. But I think that we should separate ourselves from the rest of these people, man, because they ain't with us. Chinese, them Asians, they don't like black people, man. They don't. And not when it comes to, when they get to getting abused, then everybody want to join in with us. But see, ain't nobody going through what we going through. Asians, Mexicans, yeah, they ain't white, but they ain't black neither. And then see, when they get to talking, and then if y'all remember, man, that's like when Farrakhan had that march up there, and they had them so-called Indians on there, and them people was, and it was like, man, you seen it, you listened to it, but you couldn't really feel it. You couldn't really feel it. Then they try to put their little stuff, what they going through, with our stuff. But see, all them people, see, them natives, they get money every month. See, they been repaired, reparations. And they up here killing themselves. I was talking to this one lady. She said they had a suicide power. All these kids going down there drowning themselves in that river. You know, 'cause all they want to do is get high. They got their own land, but ain't nothing there. You know, and they ain't got nowhere to work. There's nothing to do there. They done built but guess what they got? A jail. They don't got no Walmart, no kind of economy structure, but they done put their own jail up there to lock people up. So you got them kids up there getting high, getting drunk, and go down there and drown themselves, man. And then they try to, and we even get to, you know, trying to incorporate them with us. And you know, I just want to say, I mean, you know, and I work with some Mexicans, man, and I know these people, and I'm from Texas, man. The Mexicans don't like black people. They don't. You know, they ain't white neither. But hey, a Mexican is a Mexican, a native is a native. Well, I ain't even gonna call them natives, 'cause I don't even know what they is. 'Cause now they research starting to say that we really natives. And then when you look at it, it's like we don't look like Africans. Africans really don't even like us. You know, now I'm pretty sure we originated from Africa. But when you look at it and look how Africans treat us, you know, and they don't even teach that we came over here on slave ships. They don't know nothing about that till they come over here. You know, so we probably some people that originated from Africa, but came here on our own. You know, before, you know, the so-called slave trade or whatever. But I mean, I'm sorry, man, but yeah, man, we on our own. You know, so I just want to say, man, when people get to talking, let them people fight their own battle. You know, we gotta, you know, cause ain't nobody going through or they went through what we going through, and ain't really nobody trying to defend them. But see, when they get hit on their ass, then they want to scream,
hop in just
Don White.
We are pretty much at the close of the program, and really, I do appreciate the commentary, but this is what I said, Karma, before. People do have a tendency to stray from workplace racism. I know you did mention a few times that you work with Mexicans, but most of the commentary is not really about workplace racism. It's about the labeling in terms of people identifying as black and how other people feel about black people. That's not really, at least from what I heard, that's not really related to workplace racism, which I said before. There does tend to be a problem where people will kind of stray from the subject matter. If the view in terms of what you were sharing, if that's something, if you could just share that a little bit earlier. I don't know if you had the ability, but if you could call in a little bit earlier to share that, that would be grand. And folks could, you know, kind of give their views, what they think about that. I know we will be back on during the week, so if you want to call in to get some input on that, that would be great. But this segment is focused specifically on workplace racism. The only thing I would say quickly before we wrap things up is I mentioned that word like before, the system of racism, white supremacy. I don't really see any evidence that anybody likes anybody. White people don't even like other white people. I see lots of evidence of that, and I see lots of evidence that black people do not like other black people. I would not focus on that as much as just replacing white supremacy with justice, and as you said, not thinking that you have anybody who's going to be looking out for your best interest. I think Dr. Welsing would frequently say you should be thinking that you're going to be an army of one, because frequently that's what it's going to come down to. If you're trying to do something constructive and working against racism, white supremacy, likely in many instances you are going to be by yourself. Unfortunately, that is what we are dealing with. With that, we will wrap things up. We should be here Wednesday. Melissa Stein, she is a white woman. She wrote Measuring Manhood. Always enjoy having white people on the program. They are the problem. To be able to ask questions, interrogate her book. Dr. Curry highly recommended it, Measuring Manhood, the evolution, particularly in terms of the way that science has been used to advance and justify the practice of white terrorism. She should be here, Wednesday, not Monday, Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We should have some other programs that are happening this week as well. You can just check the Black Talk Radio page or the Facebook page for updates. Generally, the programs are posted a day in advance. Certainly, you can feel free to drop an email if you have questions problems, guest suggestions, gripes, untiljustice@gmail.com. I think I was able to post all of the articles that I referenced and said I was going to post. Daniel Holtzclaw, the piece that's in the Charlotte Observer about the black male who rebuked the notion of comparing the transgender issue to racism, white supremacy. There's quite a few others. The piece on being addicted to the internet. It was quite a few articles. And the report about the young teen in Ohio who was being bullied by racist classmates. That's posted as well. If you have difficulties finding any of those reports, let me know and I'll be sure you get them. With that, thanks to all the folks who tuned in. Hope it was a constructive investment of your Saturday evening, and we'll be back at minimum on this coming Wednesday. As I consistently suggest, I would encourage sobriety. I think that would be best under conditions of white supremacy. We already have enough problems. We do not want to make any of their jobs easier in abusing, terrorizing us, particularly if you're going to be out and about. I know it's getting warmer and people are going out to the beach and the holiday is coming up next weekend. If you are going to be out and about, certainly remain codified. If you are going to consume any alcohol, I don't think you want to be behind the wheel. Passenger, driver, even as a pedestrian. I think folks heard what happened with Jermaine Carby, where he was in a vehicle. He was not the driver, and he ended up being shot and killed. Just keep that sort of thing in mind. We want to be able to make the best possible decisions to keep ourselves safe under conditions of racism, white supremacy, you and anybody that you might be responsible for. We do not want to make Daniel Holtzclaw, Darren Wilson, these other raping race soldiers, we do not want to make their job any easier by not being able to think clearly when they're stopping us or if we have to have any contact with them at all. And again, buckle up if you're going to be in a vehicle. Let's do everything we can to minimize contact with race soldiers. That said, Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim,
What's
brother.
your problem? You're a victim.
I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my condition. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.